Hey BBN, Mark Pope wants to see even more from Otega OA as a top-level player. What can we expect from this guy as the season continues? A great team monster? Let's see what's new. Otega OA has been giving clear signs that his game can reach an even higher level this season, and Mark Pope doesn't hide his expectations surrounding this. His performance in the victory over Bellarmine was less of an outlier and more of a confirmation of something that had been building over the last few games. OA is transforming into a more complete player, capable of influencing Kentucky in multiple ways within the same game. The 10 assists he distributed in the last preseason game weren't just a personal record or the highest mark by a Wildcats player this season. These assists symbolize concrete progress in an aspect that OA himself set as a goal for 2025-26, to be a more consistent playmaker. In 13 games, his assist average rose from 1.7 last year to 2.8, a growth that, although discrete in raw numbers, reveals a real change in mentality and game reading. Mark Pope was direct in highlighting this point after the game, praising how OA sought space, attacked the basket, and made simple but effective decisions to involve his teammates. There were no spectacular passes or flashy plays. What was seen was a player understanding what the defense offered, especially against Bellarmine's zone defense, and exploiting it with patience and speed. 7 assists in the second half illustrate this ability to adjust and control the game well. The absence of Jalen Lowe, rested due to his shoulder, opened up space for other point guards to assume more responsibilities, and the team responded well. Jasper Johnson, Denzel Aberdeen, and Colin Chandler contributed solidly. Still, it was OA who stood out as the main offensive playmaker, generating 24 direct points from his passes. The connection with Mo Diabate in the paint and Cam Williams' three-point shooting stemmed from quick reads and correct decisions, exactly the type of basketball Pope seeks to implement. Most impressively, this growth as a point guard didn't come at the expense of other areas of his game. OA maintained his offensive consistency, again reaching double digits in scoring, something that has become routine this season. In addition, he contributed 8 rebounds, his best mark of the year, 2 steals, and the team's best point differential. He played 33 minutes of constant presence on both ends of the court, flirting with a triple-double that only narrowly missed out on. By racking up 10 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals, OA joined an extremely select group in the program's history. Only De'Aaron Fox had achieved similar marks in a single game for the Wildcats in 2016. The comparison isn't an exaggeration, but a reference to the kind of impact OA is beginning to have. He himself acknowledged that he was aware of the proximity of a triple-double, but made it clear that the priority was to compete with energy and help the team win. For the remainder of the season, the scenario is clear. Otega OA doesn't need to transform into a pure point guard or single-handedly carry the team in scoring. What Mark Pope expects, and is already beginning to see, is a player who elevates the collective level, dictates the pace, defends intensely, and makes good decisions when the ball is in his hands. If this growth as a playmaker continues, coupled with his defensive production and offensive consistency, OA has everything to solidify himself as one of Kentucky's pillars. Not necessarily the most media-savvy player, but possibly one of the most decisive, that silent monster who makes the team function when the game gets tough. The Kentucky basketball season, under Mark Pope, is beginning to take on a clearer and more promising shape. After an initial phase marked by significant challenges, the Wildcats seem to have found a rhythm and identity that inspires confidence for the near future. With a victory over Bellarmine, the team concluded its non-conference schedule with a 4-game winning streak, showing signs of growth at the right time before its SEC debut against Alabama on January 3rd. The schedule offered the players and coaching staff a crucial 10-day break, a rare opportunity to recharge and reconnect with their families during the Christmas period. The NCAA, aware of the importance of this rest, allows athletes 3 days to return home, a blessing for young players like Denzel Aberdeen, who expressed his excitement about reuniting with his mother and dog in Orlando. For others, like Jasper Johnson, a native of Lexington, the geographical proximity to family makes the return even more special. It's not so much about gifts, but about that nostalgic Christmas feeling, said Johnson, capturing the emotional essence of this brief break from the courts. While the players use this time to reconnect with their roots, Mark Pope will also find space for personal reconciliation. The coach, whose season start was marked by long hours and little sleep, decided to dedicate part of this break to being with his wife, Leanne. "She's so tired of me now," joked Pope, revealing the silent pressure that hangs over the leaders of high-level programs like Kentucky. However, this break will not only be a gesture of marital love. Pope knows that rest is essential to maintain the sanity and clarity needed to guide his team through one of the most competitive conferences in college basketball. And the timing couldn't be more opportune to take a deep breath. The Wildcats began the season with 4 consecutive losses against ranked opponents, a start that could have shaken any less resilient group. However, the response within the locker room was impressive. Under Pope's leadership, the team adjusted its mentality and adopted a more physical and intense style of play, characteristics that have always been synonymous with Kentucky basketball's tradition of excellence. Victories over Indiana and St. John's, the latter ranked 22nd at the time, served as proof that the hard work was beginning to pay off. Now, with a 9-4 record in position just outside the top 25 in the AP and coaches poll rankings, as well as the net ranking, Kentucky seems ready to enter the race for SEC supremacy. This break also comes at a strategic time to address physical issues. Jalen Lowe, who has been dealing with shoulder problems, had the chance to rest during the game against Bellarmine. Similarly, Brandon Garrison and Jaden Quaintance, who faced minor discomfort, were rested or limited to avoid aggravation. For Pope, these precautions are crucial to ensure the roster is healthy and prepared for the marathon that will be the SEC season. "It's a valuable window of time to accumulate some recovery days," said the coach, highlighting the importance of balancing competitiveness and physical preservation. With the break coming to an end, the next few days will be dedicated to consolidating this new identity. Kentucky has shown flashes of its potential, especially in recent games, but there is still room for improvement. Pope sees this week of training as an opportunity to further shape the team's collective DNA, reinforcing the principles that have guided this return. "We've improved, reoriented some things, and found a new mentality," he stated. "We have a small vision of what we can become, and we're excited about it." The players, in turn, know that the return to activities marks the beginning of a new phase. As Aberdeen pointed out, the competition in the SEC will be relentless, with highly qualified teams and games that will demand the maximum from each athlete. Alabama, their first opponent after the break, currently occupies 14th place in the national ranking, which already indicates the level of difficulty awaiting the Wildcats. But with a combination of rest, recovery, and renewed focus, Kentucky seems to be building the foundation for a solid second half of the season. In this time of transition, the spirit of Kentucky basketball resonates in the words of its players and coach. It's a team that has learned to overcome adversity, values family time, and understands the importance of looking ahead without losing sight of immediate challenges. The confirmation that James Naji, the 31st pick in the 2023 NBA draft, will wear the Baylor jersey in the second half of the 2025-26 season serves almost as a true reflection of the current state of college basketball. If there was still any doubt about the lack of clear boundaries in the current NCAA ecosystem, this decision helps to dispel it once and for all. What was once considered an unlikely exception now emerges as another chapter in a sport that operates in a gray area, where traditional concepts of eligibility, amateurism, and professional trajectory have lost their original meaning. Naji is not just an experienced player. He was drafted, participated in NBA summer leagues, had his rights traded between franchises, and built a professional career abroad since 2020. Yet at 21 years old, he returns to college basketball with 4 full years of eligibility, something that sounds contradictory to many, but which finds support in the current loopholes in the rules. The fact that he never signed an official contract with an NBA team was enough to keep him eligible, a term that today seems increasingly flexible and open to interpretation. Naji's trajectory helps illustrate this complexity. Originally drafted by the Detroit Pistons, his rights passed to the Charlotte Hornets and, later, to the New York Knicks in a trade involving Karl Anthony Towns. Even after playing in the Summer League for the Knicks, the Nigerian center is now preparing to play in the Big 12, facing athletes who, in many cases, are still dreaming of their first professional experience. It's a reversal that defies the historical logic of the sport. This movement doesn't occur in isolation, nor is it restricted to international players. The practice of adding athletes to the roster mid-season, something unthinkable a few years ago, is becoming increasingly common. USC, for example, recently incorporated Cam Woods from Robert Morris in the middle of the season. This type of dynamic roster adjustment brings college basketball closer to a near-professional logic, with informal windows for reinforcements and decisions made in real time, according to immediate needs. Naturally, this scenario raises questions among other fan bases and coaching staffs. In Kentucky, for example, some wonder if Mark Pope could consider a similar move, especially given Jalen Lowe's physical condition and the immediate need to reinforce the point guard position. Each case like Naji's expands this possibility, normalizing a practice that previously would have caused institutional resistance and prolonged debates. The central point is not only whether these decisions are legal, but what they represent for the future of college basketball. The line that separated college development from the professional world has practically disappeared. Players come and go, return after stints abroad, or flirt with the NBA before even stepping onto an NCAA court. For some, this expands opportunities and corrects old injustices. For others, it creates a chaotic environment, difficult to understand, and even more difficult to regulate. The James Naji case is not just curious, it's symbolic. It shows that college basketball is going through a period of profound transition, where the rules exist but no longer offer the predictability they once did. That's kind of crazy. Share your opinion.